Peace and blessings, family. Peace and blessings. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to day one of the 7-day healing fast challenge. And before we get started, I just want to do a couple tests to make sure everyone can see me clearly and hear me clearly. That way we don't have any mishaps while we're live. So if you can see me clearly and you can hear me, just simply put a 1 inside of the chat. That way I can know that everyone is on the same page. We don't have any technical problems, and we could dive right into this healing fast challenge. So if you can hear me clearly, you can see me clearly, just place a 1 inside of the chat. That way I could dive right into everything, into this whole lesson that we're about to have. So fast challenge. This is part 3 of our blood pressure series, part 3 of our 6-part blood pressure series. And in this challenge, we're going to be deep diving into understanding fasting and how we can use it to help us correct our blood pressure issues. So we have a couple live sessions that we're going to be doing as we're diving deep into understanding fasting, how to apply it as a healing formula to correct our blood pressure issues, but most importantly, improve our overall health. So that's the ultimate goal, improve our overall health and work our way off of these prescription pills. So I appreciate everyone for signing up and joining. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and divert to our 7-day healing fast ebook. So if you have the 7-day healing fast ebook and a second device, feel free to pull it up because I will be reading from it and going through it. That way we can continue to gain an understanding of what we're doing with this challenge. So even before we even get started, I want to talk a little bit about the previous challenges that we went through. That way we're all on the same page and we all can just continue moving in the right direction. So the first challenge was our 7-day fruit and salad challenge. And this challenge was all about understanding the vitamins and minerals or the nutrients that play a pivotal role in helping us regulate our blood pressure. We talked about the potassium, the magnesium, the calcium, the sodium, the zinc, the antioxidants, all these essential nutrients, and we went and broke down all the foods that we can consume to help us build up these nutritional storages. Because many people that are dealing with blood pressure issues, it's directly related to a deficiency. So in order to correct this deficiency, you have to understand, what's triggering or what's causing the problem, and start to rebuild these storages through these health promoting foods. And the 7-day fruit and salad challenge, we started by understanding these foods and incorporating 3 to 5 servings of fresh fruits into our diet and 1 large salad. That was part of our strategies that we started to use to build on. And we continued that for 7 days, and then we moved into part 2, which was our pressure purge challenge. And in our pressure purge challenge, this was all about purging and eliminating those problematic foods, understanding those foods that are directly contributing to our blood pressure issues. So we talked about the salt, we talked about the oil, we talked about the sugar, the caffeine, the alcohol. We talked about all those different foods that directly impact our blood pressure, because with the better understanding of what's causing and contributing to the problem, now you're in a position to remove these problematic foods and continue to move forward, because part of these strategies is all about building and getting better. So we started to eat those health promoting foods, and we're also removing those problematic foods. And these are 2 strategies that are going to allow us to continue to move forward. Once you start removing those problematic foods that are fueling the blood pressure issue, this opens up the different pathways of elimination to allow for your body to rebuild and heal itself. And once you start to build up that resilience that your body needs, now your body starts to manage its blood pressure on its own. And many individuals inside of the blood pressure group have been posting their results, talking about their weight loss, their transformation. We've seen individuals' blood pressure drop 20, 30 points. Individuals lost 10, 20 pounds. There's a lot of great results over the past 2 weeks of just implementing these simple tactics and strategies. And that leads us now into our 3rd week, which is our 7-day healing fast challenge, which is going to allow us to understand how to apply a fasting strategy no matter our level of health, no matter what type of medications we're on. We're going to learn how to apply a fasting strategy. That way we can accelerate these results, because now we're moving forward, we want to kick it into gear and start allowing the body to cleanse itself and release everything that it's holding on to. And fasting is by far one of the best things that you're going to be able to do to accomplish this. So the next 7 days, we're going to be deep diving into the intricate world of fasting, but most importantly, understanding the strategy that's right for you as an individual and learning how to implement it. So we're going to go over multiple different fasting strategies. That way you can pick and choose what's best for you, and then understand how to level up and do and progress in the right direction with your fasting strategy. So now everyone that's involved through these challenges, we should be still doing part 1, which is our 7-day fruit and salad challenge, 3 to 5 servings of fresh fruits and vegetables. Going ahead to the part 2, which is still eliminating those problematic foods. And number 3, we're going to apply the fasting strategy. So continue to compound these strategies, because when you continue to compound these strategies together, you start to gain bigger results. And this is going to ultimately lead you down that pathway to correcting your blood pressure issues and getting off of pharmaceutical medications. So 7-day healing fast challenge. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my ebook right now. If you have yours, you can pull it up as well, and we're going to dive right into it. So I'm going to start with the introduction, and then I'm going to go ahead and talk about all of these strategies that we have first, because this breakdown is directly about the workings of fasting, how it affects the body, how it impacts your cardiovascular system, and how it helps you correct your blood pressure issues. But what I want to do first, I want to talk about all the strategies that we have and then tie it all together. That way, I don't have to sit here and read a whole book to you guys, but I could give you the game first and then teach you how to apply it and keep moving forward. And many individuals that already had their book for the past couple of days, they've already been implementing some of these strategies and been seeing some great results as well. So if you're an individual that's been applying the fasting strategy for the past couple of days, hats off to you for getting started, because there's no need to wait. Once you get the information, it's all about applying it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and start with the introduction, and then we're going to just talk about these strategies, these different fasting strategies, and then we'll get into the ebook. So introduction: embracing the healing power of fasting. Welcome to the Healing Fast Challenge, a transformative 7-day journey designed to empower you with the knowledge, tools, and inspiration to take control of your health. If you're dealing with high blood pressure or seeking a holistic approach to wellness, this challenge is crafted for you. The essence of fasting is not a new trend or a fleeting fad. It is the oldest, most natural way of healing, deeply rooted in various cultures and traditions. Fasting is more than just abstaining from food. It's a conscious decision to cleanse, rejuvenate, and align your body and your mind. So understanding that fasting is bigger than just not eating anything. This fasting is a way more complex on the mental, the physical, and the spiritual level. So understanding that this is something that's going to help your body as a whole. One of the main reasons I love fasting is because, again, this affects the whole body. You're not just isolating one particular area of the body or focusing on nutrition or focusing on this. You're impacting your whole body. And what happens is this allows for you to correct any metabolic issues that you may be dealing with. High blood pressure, high cholesterol, high blood sugar levels, obesity. All these things are impacted when you apply a fasting strategy. And when you start applying a fasting strategy, on top of the health promoting strategies that we've already been doing, this just kicks the door down and bursts things wide open. So this is going to be a great strategy for each and every one of you guys that are participating. So now I'm going to talk about the different fasting strategies. That way you can understand where you align at. And one thing I do have to say is this, for the peace of mind for everyone that's here, if you're not familiar with your body, or you're taking multiple medications and you're not too sure, the easiest thing that you could do is consult with your physician about applying a fasting strategy. This is going to be the best thing to understand where you're at and where you're going. Talk to your doctor, tell them you're thinking about fasting, tell them about the fasting strategy that you're interested in, and they will help align you a lot better and a lot tighter to make sure that you're on a path to reach the goals that you're trying to obtain. So now I'm going to talk about these different fasting strategies and let the individuals know which one should be best suited for them. Like if you're taking multiple medications, if you're not on medications, you're having a resistant type of blood pressure. We're gonna talk about all these different fasting strategies and which person or which individuals fit in which particular pot. So we're gonna start with the basics of fasting. And this is what I truly believe each individual, healthy, sick, old, young, high blood pressure or not, should be doing on a consistent basis. I firmly believe that each and every one of us as individuals should be doing at least 12 hours of fasting daily. And what this does is this brings balance to our body. You got 12 hours of eating and 12 hours of fasting. That's your 24 hours throughout the day. And if you're doing a bare minimum of 12 hours of fasting, this allows for your body to utilize everything that you're putting into it and eliminate it as well. What we're seeing in our day and age now is that most individuals don't have an eating window or a fasting window. We kind of get up, grab something to eat, kind of do our thing, bum, 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 eat as we go, eat at work, eat in the car, get home, eat some more, wake up in the middle of the night, get a snack, keep eating. And when you're consistently eating, your body has plenty of work to do. The whole digestive system is active, and now your body is constantly has something to do. And what happens is your body is triggered in many different ways largely based off of the foods that you're consuming, but your body is active and your digestive is active and your insulin levels start to go up. And one thing about blood pressure issues is this: a lot of times this is directly related to insulin resistance and just the fact that, we're constantly eating. One thing we have to understand is insulin is a storage hormone. And when you're eating in the morning, afternoon, late night, insulin levels are going up, and it needs to figure out what to do with the food, the energy that you're giving it, the food energy, the caloric energy that you're giving it. And now it just stores it in different places. And over time, this can cause a domino effect of issues directly related to your metabolic issues that most of us are experiencing. So understanding that, having a eating and a fasting window will bring balance, and 12 hours is simply stop eating at 8 o'clock at night and don't eat again till 8 o'clock in the morning. That's a simple 12-hour fast. That doesn't take anything outside of some discipline of understanding that 8 o'clock kitchen closes and it doesn't open back up again until 8 a.m. So my personal belief is everyone should start there. If you're someone that's not familiar with fasting, don't understand it, and kind of nervous about trying it because maybe you're on multiple medications, or you just don't want to feel like maybe some of you think you might have some of the hunger pains that come with it, understanding that a simple 12-hour fast is probably the best place to start to allow you to progress and get better. Because once you start with 12 hours, this kind of opens your mind up, opens your body up to the feeling of fasting and going without and setting a new stage, because your body's going to adjust naturally. One of the hardest things about fasting is the mental aspect, because we're so accustomed to grabbing food or eating things in certain positions. So understanding that once you start applying a fasting strategy, your body's going to adjust, but psychologically you have to get in alignment to do so. And a simple 12-hour fast to start is going to be great. And I think this is one of the best ways to help you just level your body off, to where that 12 hours where you are eating, you're giving your body the same amount of time to cleanse itself and to release everything that you may be holding on to. So that's one of the first fasting strategies, simply a 12-hour strategy. Shut it down at 8, don't open up again to 8 a.m. So that's one of the baseline strategies. Now, the next strategy we're going to talk about is the intermittent fasting strategy. Most individuals have heard about an intermittent fasting strategy, and this is what I like to call an entry-level fasting strategy. And this is great for someone that are dealing with blood pressure issues, that are adamant about getting control of the problem. You maybe have some weight issues as well. You're trying to shift some things around. Intermittent fasting is one of the best places to begin, because now you set intentions on what you're actually doing. The intermittent fasting window looks like a 16-hour fasting window and an 8-hour eating window. And that's why they call it a 16-8. If you ever Googled or looked up intermittent fasting, you see 16-8 with it. The 16 is the fasting window, and the 8 hours is the eating window. So you're fasting for 16 hours, eating for 8 hours, and this is going to allow for a number of things to occur within the body, which we're going to talk about once we get into the Healing Fast Challenge. That 16-8 is ideal for anyone that's taking medications and you're ready to get started on this process. You might not have much fasting experience. You know a little bit about fasting, but the 16-8 is great for anyone that's taking medications, that's ready to start with this process and get some things turned around. Reason being, because this 16 hours of fasting, this doesn't interfere much with you taking medications. What happens is that during the majority of this fasting period is going to come at nighttime. And you should be resting and sleeping during this period. So this isn't going to interfere too much with you taking your medication. It's not going to complicate things. So understanding the 16-8 is an entry-level fast. Most people take their blood pressure medications first thing in the morning. The 16-8 fasting strategy typically ends around 11 and 12. And there's nothing wrong with just simply taking your medication at that time once you're ready to break your fast. That way you can have food in your system and continue to move forward in the right direction. So we're going to be breaking down the 16-8 a whole lot deeper in just in a minute, but that's going to be our second fasting strategy that's available for any individual to use. Now, the third one is going to be alternate day fasting. We're going to dive deeper into alternate day fasting, and this is what I like to call an intermediate level fasting. Well, I'd say this is what I like to call, an intermediate level fasting. Got an entry level, intermediate level fasting. And the reason being, this is a longer fast. This is for someone that's experienced with fasting. This is for someone that's not necessarily dealing with blood sugar issues or other metabolic issues, but they got this stubborn blood pressure problem and they just trying to shake it and get it taken care of. Someone that's in a decent level of health and they just trying to gain these results. And this is the alternate day fasting is gonna help them accelerate through this process a lot faster. Myself personally, matter of fact, I didn't even talk about my fasting story. I'll talk about that in a second. But alternate day fasting is a strategy that I also used during my healing journey. And in 15 days of alternate day fasting, I lost 17 pounds. And with these other tactics and strategies that we're talking about, I was able to continue to maintain that weight loss and get my blood pressure in line during this whole process. And the alternate day fast is basically what it sounds like. You're alternating days with your fast. You eat one day and you alternate the next day. You eat one day and you fast the following day. You eat one day, you fast the following day. You eat another day, you fast the following day. And it's basically you're alternating eating and fasting days. And what happens is your body is, on your eating days, you're fueling your body up with all the nutrients and the energy that it needs. And on the fasting days, your body is basically cleansing, utilizing, and emptying everything out. And by the time you're on complete E, you're back to the eating again and filling your body back up with those health promoting foods to continue to allow for it to move forward in the right direction. And again, this fast is for someone that understands fasting, that's fasted before, they don't have blood sugar issues, and they're looking to continue to get to the root cause of the blood pressure issues that they're dealing with. So alternate day fasting is by far one of the best fasting strategies that can happen, especially when it comes down to weight loss, when it comes down to sugar cravings, salt cravings, all those different cravings that an individual may be holding on to. Alternate day fasting is really, really good for this. And it can definitely help you get some great results when it comes down to correcting your blood pressure issues. And lastly, we have what's called the water-only fasting. And this is the fast that most individuals are familiar with. Water-only fasting is exactly what it sounds like, water only. And when you talk about water-only fasting, in a lot of different circles, you hear different information. And I'm not here to say this is right or this is wrong. I'm here to give you the root. I'm giving you a baseline strategy that's going to allow for you to get the best results for you. And the reason I say it like this is because in a lot of different circles, you hear that, okay, you can consume black coffee while fasting, or you can consume tea while fasting, or you can consume this and it won't break your fast. And that's true. I'm not going to say that it's not true and these things will break your fast. But what I want you to understand is this. In order to streamline your results and get the best results through fasting, consuming water only is going to be one of the best approaches. Once you start adding different things to your diet to try to help you through the fast, this starts to cause complications. If let's say you decide to consume herbal tea during the fast, that herbal tea might have some type of dehydrated fruits or something inside of it that might potentially be enough to break your fast, where you're not getting the autophagy and the autolysis and all the healing mechanisms. Instead of actually being on a thorough fast, you're more so on a calorie restricted diet, and you're not going to have that same impact on the cardiovascular system that we're looking for when it comes down to the healing process. So understanding that, these things might not necessarily break your fast in certain ways, but you really have to be mindful of what you're consuming and how much of it that you are consuming, because if it has a certain amount of sugar in it, it will break your fast. And when it comes down to coffee, this brings us back to our healing, this brings us back to the pressure purge challenge, where we talked about how caffeine is a stimulant, a vasoconstrictor, which causes the blood pressure to rise every time you consume it. So understanding that you want to remove those things from your diet or from the fasting process, and just consume water only if you're trying to do a water only fast. And we're going to talk about the type of water and the things once we get into that particular section. But understanding that water only fasting is one of the most powerful forms of fasting. I have a lot of different case studies that I'm going to share with you guys for you to see. One in particular from Dr. Alan Goldhammer. I spoke about him in one of the previous challenges. Dr. Alan Goldhammer from the True North Medical Facility in Northern California, where he specializes in individuals with high blood pressure and water only fasting. I might get the numbers wrong, but I think in 2015 he took 300, almost 400 something individuals, all of them dealing with stage 2 hypertension, blood pressure 145 over 90 and above. And he took 300 to 400 something individuals, and he fasted them through water only fasting. And in the course of 10 days, 95% of these individuals all corrected their blood pressure issues and got off of all the prescription pills that they were on. And not only did they correct their blood pressure issues and get off the medication, they continue to lose weight and continue to experience these same type of results as after they finish their fast, moving forward as he continued to follow them for the next year or two. So understanding that water only fasting isn't just a fluke or something that happens, you correct the issue and then all of a sudden it comes back. This is something that can be very powerful to help you get those long-term results that you're looking for. But most importantly, what we're going to be talking about in the Healing Fast Challenge is how to sustain these results, because oftentimes an individual can do some type of fasting, get results, and lose them. And this is where the lifestyle that proceeds after the fast is very important. You have to understand how to continue to live in a health promoting manner to maintain those results that you gain from the fast. And we're going to be talking about that a whole lot deeper. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them inside of the chat. That way, once we get to the Q&A section, I'll just answer those questions that you guys might have, and hopefully I can tie it all in for you all. That way you can understand the right fasting strategy for you. And once you get started, understand where you're going from there. Because again, you always want to continue to level up, get better, and move forward. And matter of fact, before I even get started, let me give you guys my fasting story. I always say I'm gonna do it, but sometimes I always forget. So my fasting journey began 2017. No, I'm lying. I'm sorry. My daughter was born in 2014. I want to say like 2016 or 2017. One of those. 2016, 2017. My fasting journey began there. And I fasted with a buddy, and I did 29 days water only fasting. And during this time, I did water only fasting, me and my buddy, and we were just locked in together, and we were just trying to figure things out. He had a lot of emotional things, I had some spiritual things on my mind, and I wanted to just lock in and just figure things out and isolate myself and go through this whole process. I wasn't doing it for any type of health reasons, but I wanted to understand more about fasting. Had a friend with me that was trying to do the same thing, and we did it. Now, at the same time, I was overweight and dealing with some weight issues, but I didn't have any blood pressure issues at that moment that would directly impact me. I wasn't fasting with the purpose of correcting the issue. I was fasting with the purpose of just wanting the mental clarity that comes with it. So my longest fast was 29 days, water only, And during this process, I documented my journey, understood what I was going through, and just saw the process through, me and a friend. Now, I don't recommend anyone to do a 29-day water only fast. Reason being because if you don't understand what you're doing, or you're not in a position to be supervised or be helped through this process, you might run into some roadblocks that can really have some long-term effects on you. So me doing this water only fasting, I was with the individual that was experienced with it. I also had some knowledge about it, and we kind of just helped each other out through this whole process. Plus, we was in a position where we were just isolated and we were resting the majority of the time that we were doing it. So I did a 29-day water only fast. This was back in 2016, 2017. Now, during that process, I enjoyed it. I'm not sure exactly what my numbers were, what I lost, or what was happening, because I documented it, but I don't remember exactly what is what. But after that, I got away from fasting. Like, I did it for that mental clarity, and I got away from it completely. Now, fast forward back to 2019, 2020, this is where I picked up fasting again. At this point, 2019, 2020, I was dealing with health issues. I was dealing with my blood pressure issues. I was dealing with a pre-diabetic issue. I was dealing with weight issues. My blood pressure was 145/93. I was 248 pounds. I had a lot of metabolic issues going on. And as I was learning about lifestyle changes and implementing these habits and these tactics and strategies to my lifestyle, I was trying to figure out what's next. Now, light bulb came on. I was actually, I think if I'm not mistaken, I was reading the book, or I was in a seminar, and it came up about fasting, and I knew that I wanted to give this a try again because I was so familiar with it. So now, 2019, 2020, I started applying the fasting strategy. I started off with intermittent fasting, a simple 16-8 fast. I started there, and I applied this daily to my lifestyle. Every day, 16-8, 16-8, until I got really, really comfortable. At one point, I ended up plateauing off, and I knew I needed to continue with the next step. And this is where I moved forward, and I started doing alternate day fasting. And once I started this alternate day fast, I'm jumping off. I did the 16-8 fasting, 16-8 fast. Now, what happened next was I wanted to accelerate my results, and I started doing a cleanse that next summer, that 2020 summer. And when I started doing the cleanse the 2020 summer, this is where I did a 3-day water only fast. And with the 3-day water only fast, basically 3 days, I just consumed water only. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, water only. Isolated myself in the house where I was able to just rest, relax, and just be in a position where I'm comfortable to go through this whole process. And that whole process, I believe I lost 6 or 7 pounds in the first day or two. And those results that I experienced was probably one of the main things that just kept me motivated and made me a believer about fasting. One of the pictures that I posted inside of the group a few months ago was the cleanse that I actually did while fasting, and we'll revisit that once we get into the actual book. But the results that I experienced helped me understand, like, yes, I'm on the right path, and this is the way we need to go. And one of the most important things I teach about is listening to your body. We talk about body language, understanding what your body is telling you while you're making these lifestyle changes, while you're applying these tactics and strategies. And my body released so much when it came down to parasites, the excess weight that I was holding on to. There's a lot of things that moved out of me that let me know that water only fasting, I needed to continue this. And what I did was, for the next couple months, I believe it was another 4 or 5 months, every month, once a month, at the end of the month, I applied the water only fasting, 3-day water only fast. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or whatever day it was to end the month, I did a 3-day water only fast, and it's continued to push my results further and further. And during this time, I was still making sure I was living a health promoting lifestyle, making sure my nutrition was in check. I was continuing to move my body, trying to get control of my stress levels, making sure my sleeping habits was good. I was doing all these things, and my results just continued to accelerate in the right direction. Now, when I want to say November, December came about, I ended up plateauing a little bit. Holidays come around, sometimes you get a little relaxed a little bit. I ended up plateauing a little bit around November, December, and I knew I needed to get back into it. And water only fasting was great. Then alternate day fasting came up, and me and my partner at the time, we was like, let's try this alternate day fast. So we started alternate day fasting, and for 15 days, we didn't set the schedule to do 15 days. 15 days just happened to be what we stopped at. And when we started, we had intentions of going until, we just wanted to stop. And we would eat one day, fast the next day. Eat one day, fast the following day. And we did this all the way for 15 days. In those 15 days, I lost 17 pounds. And the only reason I stopped was because my partner at the time got pregnant. So we actually had to pull the plug on this fasting process. And this goes back to listening to your body, because all of a sudden when she did conceive, her body started telling her like, hey, time to stop, time to eat, time to figure something else out. Fasting needs to cease. And that's one thing, that your body knows everything. So your body will tell you when it's time to stop when it comes down to fasting. But we ended up doing 15 days. I lost 17 pounds during this process. And this just really where my whole transformation began to change completely, because not only did my palate change, my body changed physically, my mental clarity changed, everything changed about what I was doing, who I was becoming, and my health journey as a whole. And this just really gave me the fuel that I needed to continue to stay focused on this journey to correcting my blood pressure issues. So my fasting journey consistently looked like that. And now it's to the point where I do basic fasting, where I do 12 hours I do at least a 12-hour fast every day. And the only time I really do serious fasting is in the summertime when my birthday shows up. And when my birthday shows up, I've been on a streak the last 3 years of where I've been fasting pretty much about as long as I've been alive. So I did a 34-day, a 35-day, and I'm due for a 36-day this year as well. So that's the only time I do really serious fasting, in the summertime when my birthday shows up. But one thing about it is that no matter how you approach fasting, as long as you're living in a health promoting lifestyle, you're going to maintain your results after fasting. Some people like to say, oh, if you fast and you just lose water weight and you're going to gain it back. Yeah, that has some truth in it. I'm not going to say you're just, they're lying. No, it has some truth in it. But you also have to understand that the inner part of fasting, not only are you losing water weight, but one of the most important things that you lose is what's called visceral fat. And visceral fat is that fat that's in your midsection. Like you ever seen someone that just has their belly, they might be thin or skinny up front or down low, but their belly just protrudes out. This is a visceral fat that's just packed in this midsection. And the visceral fat is one of the most dangerous types of fat. Well, the most dangerous type of fat, because it's surrounding all your organs. And one thing about fat is that this is where all your toxins are stored. So not only is fat like additional nutritional storages, but toxins and all these other compounds all get stored inside of the fat. And if that fat is all around these organs, they can leach into the organs and start to cause complications. So fasting directly impacts that visceral fat. So if you're someone that says, I need to lose weight in my midsection, or I need to get rid of these love handles, or I need to trim up in this area, fasting is the strategy that's going to allow for you to get that. So understanding that we're going to be talking about these different strategies, how to continue to apply them, but most importantly, I want you guys to understand how it impacts your blood pressure when it comes down to correcting your blood pressure issues and your cardiovascular system, and how to maintain the results as you continue to move forward. So now that I ran my mouth talking about my story, let's go ahead and get into the actual Healing Fast ebook, and we're going to go through the first part, and then we're going to get into the next session. So why fasting? High blood pressure is a silent but persistent challenge that affects millions. It's often a sign that our lifestyle needs attention. Fasting offers a profound way to listen to our bodies, understand what they need, and make lasting changes. By embracing fast, you are not just addressing a symptom, you are nurturing your entire being. The Healing Fast Challenge. This challenge is about more than just understanding how fasting works. It's about experiencing it, feeling it, and letting it become a part of your lifestyle. In this ebook, we're going to explore the different types of fasting strategies, the do's and don'ts of fasting, what to expect during fasting, how to break your fast, and choosing the right fast for you. So we're going to be diving deep into all these different things. And now we're going to get into the scientific part of it, because I'm a firm believer that if you understand what's going on inside of you while you're doing these different tactics and strategies, this is kind of going to motivate you to keep moving forward. And then when you do run into any of these potential symptoms or these roadblocks that might pop up, you have a way to navigate past them and around them. Because some people might fast and you might get a headache or you might feel nauseous. But you have to understand, this is your body cleansing itself, and these things can show up. No two individuals really have the same fasting symptoms, but because we're all different, and someone's symptoms may be worse than another individual's. And this is all about how you've been treating your body in the past. So if you're someone that's been trashing your body for the last 10, 20 years, you might experience some profound symptoms that, that might potentially deter you from moving forward. But if you understand what to expect and how to maneuver through it, this is going to allow you to stay in alignment to continue to use this powerful tool to correct your blood pressure issues. So now we're going to dive into fasting as a whole. We're going to talk about the science of it. So fasting is a practice deeply embedded in various religious traditions, symbolizing purification, self-discipline, and spiritual growth. It's a conscious choice to abstain from food for a defined period, often accompanied by prayer and reflection. In contrast, from a medical standpoint, fasting is recognized as a therapeutic tool that can promote healing and wellness. Unlike starvation, which is an involuntary lack of food leading to malnourishment, fasting is a deliberate and controlled process that triggers beneficial physiological changes. Now, one thing we definitely want to clear up, fasting and starving are two different things. Fasting is intentional, where you're making a choice to abstain from food, and starvation is caused by someone's direct influence or by accident, where you get stranded on the island or locked in a back room somewhere with nothing there to eat and you don't have a choice. So fasting is a choice that allows for you to activate these healing mechanisms. And fasting is your body's natural form of healing. So before there was medication, before there's herbs, before there's anything that you can take and put inside your body to help you deal with the issue, your body had fasting. Fasting is your built-in healing mechanism. But unfortunately, in our society, we've gotten away from fasting and we rely on outside stimulants to try to help us fix what's going on inside of us. We have to think about it. We started off as a small egg and a small sperm that came together and built our whole body to what it is right now. You don't think that it gave us some type of healing mechanism just in case something happened? Oh, you break a finger, you break your arm, it can heal itself, it comes back together. You cut yourself, the wound closes and closes back up. It's the same thing with your internal health, your overall health as well. You get blood sugar issues, there's a mechanism inside of you to help correct that. That's fasting. You get blood pressure issues as well, you get cancer, you get these other things that are happening. Fasting is one of these things that can help correct these problems. And this is just not hearsay or just ancient texts or that's saying these things. This is also in scientific research at this moment. Right now, they're trying to figure out how can they apply fasting to accompany different medications to help cure cancer. This is the number one thing that they're working on right now when it comes to cancer research. Fasting. How to apply this fasting as well with chemotherapy to help this process. One of the last research studies that I read regarding fasting and chemotherapy was that if you take an individual and you put them in a fasting state while they're going through chemo, their healthy cells are more resilient to the chemotherapy, allowing for them to actually get better a whole lot faster. Whereas those cancerous cells, they die off a whole lot quicker due to the fasting and the chemo. So fasting is a protective mechanism for those healthier cells. And during this cancer research, they're discovering these things. And now it's about how to apply this to continue moving forward with cancer research, which is a whole nother story that we're not gonna get too deep into because we're gonna focus on blood pressure right now. But fasting again, it's in the medical world. It's in the medical scene. This is not just biblical or something that's coming from, just ancient texts and things like that. This is something that we're now starting to apply on a medical level. And now here in this challenge, we're going to talk about how you can do this for yourself to get the results that you need. So now, here we go. One such change is, here we go. Unlike starvation, which is involuntary lack of food leading to malnourishment, fasting is a deliberate and controlled process that triggers beneficial physiological changes. One such change is autophagy, the body's natural way of cleaning out damaged cells to regenerate newer, healthier ones. Autophagy typically begins around 24 to 48 hours into a fast, depending on the individual's metabolism. Alongside autophagy, the body enters ketosis, a metabolic state where fat is burned for energy instead of carbohydrates, promoting weight loss and improved metabolic function. Autolysis, the self-digestion of damaged or unnecessary cellular components, works hand in hand with autophagy, enhancing cellular repair. These processes collectively contribute to reducing high blood pressure by improving vascular health, reducing inflammation, and enhancing overall metabolic efficiency. Now, understanding these things that are happening inside of you is a key part of understanding what this fast is doing for you. Now, when you look at autophagy, autolysis, and all these other A words that are there, these all seem like big words that might be different and we don't really understand them. But one thing about fasting is that you don't have to necessarily understand the medical science about it, but understanding your body is really going to be what takes you the distance. So understanding that autophagy and autolysis is essentially where all your old damaged cells inside of your body, once you enter into this fasting state, these old damaged cells that are not helping you regulate your blood pressure, that's not allowing you to digest your food properly, that's contributing to other deficiencies that you may be experiencing, these old damaged cells are taken and broken down and destroyed and recycled. And what this means is that this cell might still have some good functioning parts to it. So your body's like, I ain't just gonna waste them. Let me get rid of and break down the old damaged part that's not functioning properly, throw the damaged parts away, and we're gonna take these good components and take these other good components from this other cell, and we're gonna put them back together and rejuvenate to create a new cell that's gonna take the place of this old cell to now allow for the body to do the job that it needs to do more efficiently. So understanding that this is the recycling process that your body naturally goes through, this healing and recovery process, this allows for your body to correct these metabolic issues that you're dealing with. And when it comes down to high blood pressure, your cardiovascular system is the key place that's being affected. That more specifically, your endothelium system. And we talked about the endothelium system, or the endothelial cells, which are the protector of your cardiovascular system. Throughout your cardiovascular system, the innermost lining of your blood vessels is your endothelium system, the endothelial cells, and they have multiple jobs to do. We spoke about how they need to stay nice and tight together to prevent things from entering into the artery or entering into the body. They need to stay nice and tight as well so the blood can flow through smoothly. They also need to dilate properly, where they need to produce nitric oxide to help the blood vessels dilate properly so the blood can flow through. But what's happening when you're dealing with blood pressure issues, you're dealing with a form of endothelial dysfunction, meaning that these cells are not functioning at the level that they need to. They're not producing nitric oxide to dilate the blood vessels. They're not staying nice and tight together to keep things from entering. And what's happening is now plaque and cholesterol is all getting jammed up, and this is causing an obstruction inside of the artery that's interfering with the blood flow. So there's a number of things that's happening with this endothelial dysfunction. And when you start applying fasting as a strategy, this allows for those endothelial cells to correct themselves and be rejuvenated to nice, healthier, stronger cells that can actually get the job done. And now you see a reduction in chronic inflammation throughout the body. Chronic inflammation is one of those things that's directly related to high blood pressure. Once you start to get that inflammation out of the blood vessels, now the blood vessels can relax like they need to, and the blood can flow through a lot smoothly, and you start to see the blood pressure start to come down. So it's a domino effect of things that starts to occur through fasting, and it's simply just understanding that it's simply about understanding which strategy you want to apply and being consistent through the process to allow for this to happen. Because again, one thing about autophagy is this: it typically takes between 20 to 24 hours, give or take. Some doctors even say 18 to 24 hours before it actually kicks in. So when you're doing a fasting strategy, consistency allows for you to gain a little bit of this process and to continue to get going. And think of it this way to be a little bit more clearer for you guys. A water-only fast is the most powerful form of fasting. Let's say a 3-day water-only fast. This is going to be the most powerful form of fasting, where you're getting autophagy, ketosis. You're getting everything and some more during this process for a longer period of time. You're talking 72 hours in the fasting state. Whereas if you're simply doing an intermittent fast, you're only doing 16 hours in a fasting state. Now, think of it this way for a little more clarity. 30 days of intermittent fasting is the equivalent to a 3-day water only fast. So fasting for 3 days water only, that's the type of benefit that you get. You have to do 16 days, you have to do 30 days of an intermittent fast to get the benefits of a 3-day water only fast. So understanding that when you're building and you're applying this as a strategy, consistency is going to be the key to this process. That way you can get to where you need to be. You're not just going to, okay, I'm going to do some intermittent fasting for 1 day or 2 days and get the results. No, it doesn't necessarily work that way. You have to be consistent through this process and allow for your body to do the things that it needs to do, especially if you're someone that's dealing with chronic blood pressure issues, like hypertension, where you're on, multiple medications. You're gonna have to go through this process. You didn't just get high blood pressure overnight or 2 weeks ago. This is something that manifested over years of you just, not being mindful of the things that you're doing. So understanding that applying your fasting strategy is gonna require that you be consistent to get the results that you need. And one of the best things about this is this: you don't have to wait the 30 days to see the results. You're going to start to see them immediately as you apply this, because it's going to show up in improved blood pressure. You're going to show up in your blood sugar levels starting to regulate itself. You're going to see the scale move in the right direction. You're going to see your energy levels come back. You're going to start to sleep better. You're going to start to see the domino effect of the things that you're doing and the way that you're living. And this is going to help motivate you to continue to move forward. So understanding that, gradual progression is the name of this game. This isn't a quick fix. This isn't just something that you just take one and take a pill and be ready in the morning. This is gradual progression. You have to be consistent through this process. And the reason I teach it through this way is that you want sustainable, lasting changes. You don't want a quick fix. You want something that's going to stick with you, where you get the results, you learn the habits, you understand the changed behavior, and now you can live in a health promoting direction and not have to even worry about your blood pressure anymore, because you're living in a way that's in alignment to help you become the healthiest version of yourself and stay the healthiest version of yourself. So this is what fasting is all about: understanding the tactics and the strategies and applying them to live and become the best version of yourself through this process. Here we go. Intricacy of autophagy. The intricate dance of autophagy, ketosis, and autolysis paints a picture of a body in tune with itself, capable of healing and rejuvenation. Embracing fasting is not merely a physical act, but a profound journey into understanding the body's innate wisdom, a journey that could be a key to unlocking better health and a life free from the constraints of high blood pressure. So the next chapter is a little bit about water-only fasting, but it's nothing that I need to read right now, because we're going to get deeper into water-only fasting. But now we're going to talk a little bit about autophagy specifically. That way we can understand some of these cellular functions. And what we're going to do, we're going to end with autophagy, because I don't want to drag you guys too long into this whole process. We want to save some for the rest of the week, right? So I'm going to go into autophagy a little bit deeper, answer some of the questions that you guys might have, and then we're going to continue to tie everything together. So autophagy, a cellular renewal process. The definition and the function: autophagy, derived from the Greek word for self and eating, is a cellular process where the body breaks down and recycles damaged or dysfunctional proteins and organelles. It's like a cleaning crew for cells, removing waste and making room for new healthy components. And that's part of the discussion that we just have, just simply taking out the old damaged cells, breaking them down, putting the new ones in and replacing. Your body doesn't waste anything. Your body uses everything of value that it has room to use, and it utilizes it to the max. Your body is all knowing. Your body knows everything that it needs to know about you, your health, and what it needs to do to maintain your health. And matter of fact, I'm glad I mentioned this. I want to make sure I touch on this topic as well, because I had this conversation last season's challenge back in the winter. This conversation I had with a young lady, and we're talking about fasting and her not getting results. So her story goes where she was applying a alternate day fast, and she wasn't getting the results that she thought she would get during the fasting. She had lost some weight, her blood pressure was kind of just up and down, but she wasn't getting the results. And she was like asking, like, okay, what's going on? Do you know what's happening? So the first thing I wanted to let her know was that, your body knows everything that's happening. And although you're going through this alternate day fasting where you're doing 36 hours of fasting and you're going through this process, she's like, well, I feel good. I'm feeling better. All these things are happening, but I'm not seeing the numbers with my blood pressure. I'm not seeing the weight move in the right direction. That's what she was really aiming for. So I let her know that your body handles things in the order of importance. And what this means is that your blood pressure issues and your weight issues might not be what's important at this particular moment, because your body might see some underlying obstructions that could potentially be life-threatening that it needs to deal with first before it deals with the weight issues and the blood pressure issues. So understanding that if you have underlying issues, you might not necessarily know these things yet, but your body knows. So you might apply this fasting strategy and be like, man, it ain't working. I did 7 days of fasting. I lost 2 pounds. I'm not this and that. Shift the mindset and understand that your body's in control. Your body knows exactly what's happening. And just because you didn't see what you wanted to see on the scale or on paper doesn't mean that it's not working. Your body could be handling any other thing that's of importance for survival, and then it will move into the areas that it needs to make sure that it's taking care of your health as a whole. So your body works in that order of importance of making sure that, hey, before I deal with this problem, I need to make sure that I clean this gut out, because if I don't get this gut cleaned out, it don't matter what I do to the blood pressure or to the cardiovascular system. This person gonna die from liver poison or something like that. The body knows what's happening. So understanding that just because you might not get the results right when you want them doesn't mean that the process isn't working. So understand and make sure that you're doing what you need to do when it comes down to the right strategy, as well as allowing for your body to go through the process to accomplish the goals that you're trying to accomplish. Now, back to autophagy. How it works. When nutrients are scarce, such as during fasting, cells activate autophagy. Damaged proteins and organelles are enclosed in a structure called autophagy, I always butcher this word up, which then fuse with lysosomes, an enzyme-filled compartment that digests the contents. The resulting molecules are recycled to build new cellular components. So basically, the lysosomes go into the cell, break things down, goes into the cells, breaks things down, that way they can be utilized by other areas of the body. But one thing that we have to understand as well is we have to understand what's going on and how the body is utilizing the materials within itself. So when you're fasting, let me back up a little bit. So each and every one of us has additional nutritional storages that we're holding on to. You can do it. You can figure it out by grabbing up under your arm, a little extra up on your neck. You might have a little extra in your belly. These are all nutritional stores that your body is holding on to. So understand, everyone's nutritional storages are different. Some people got a big old belly. Some people got extra up under their arm. Some people have it all over their place. These are all nutritional storages that your body holds on to. And during fasting, this is the way to release those nutritional storages for your body to consume and use. And understanding that when you're fasting, although you may not be eating any food, or should I say, although you're not giving your body the building blocks that it needs in the form of nutrition, the nutrition process doesn't stop. Just because you're not eating food doesn't mean that your body is not feeding and nourishing itself. Because once you stop eating food and you go into that 16, 18-hour range, your body's like, oh crap, hey y'all, he not giving us nothing else to eat and we need energy. And the first thing your body does is, hey, go to the back and start breaking down those nutritional storages. And your body like, yeah, okay. Then it starts to break down that excess fat you hold in the midsection, the excess fat up under your arms, the excess fat in your back, all those different areas. Your body starts to break down that excess fat. Reason being because that's where your potassium is, your magnesium, the calcium, all the nutrients, the enzymes, everything is stored up in that excess fat. Remember, insulin is a storage hormone, and when you start eating food all times of night, all throughout the day, eating different things, it got to go somewhere, and your body stuffs it in all these different pockets. When you start fasting, now your body say, hey, it's time to go get that, and start pulling it out. When it pulls those things out, what happens is it starts to break down the fat. You get into this ketosis mode, and the body starts using the fat for energy. And now all the different components that's stored inside of the fat, such as the enzymes, the vitamins, the toxins, all those things are released into the bloodstream. And now that they're released in the bloodstream, the body's going to pick up what it needs to feed itself, and all the toxic stuff or the excess is going to be excreted through the urine, through the bowels, and released from the body. And that's part of the cleansing process that the body goes through. So understanding that the nutritional process doesn't stop when you're fasting. Your body just activates a different form of healing, and it starts to consume those excess storage that you have. And this is where the weight loss comes from, and the cleansing process comes from, and autophagy ties all into that whole process. And we got about 4 minutes left before I go overtime, and I think that's a great place to stop. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and answer these questions that you guys might have. That way we can make sure that we're all on the same page, and we can get make sure we're all on the same page. That way we can get the information that we need to continue through this process. I think the 12-hour one will work for me. Yeah, that's a great place to start. 12 hours, simple, basic start off strategy. A 12-hour fast that brings balance to the eating and fasting windows. 12-hour eating, 12-hour fasting, get comfortable there, and then get better. 12-hour eating, 12-hour fasting. All right, let's go 14 hours, and then go maybe 15 hours, then go 16 hours, and you will see how your body responds. Because once you start doing something, your body's like, hey, she's not eating. Usually we eat every time this time of night. And sometimes you get a little cravings, or you start feeling a little, feeling like you want something. But, understanding why you're doing it is going to be important. And then just continuing to build. So 12 hours, then go to 14 hours, maybe 16 hours. Figure out how comfortable you are and test your body. Push your body to the limit. Your body is built to do these things, but we haven't been activating these different mechanisms, these healing mechanisms, so we don't understand or don't know what we're going to experience during this process. But once you learn what's going on and what's happening, and you start to see the results and feel the benefits from it, it gets that much easier. One thing about fasting is this: each time you fast, the next day gets easier than the day before. For instance, I did that three-day water fast during the summer. My next 3-day water fast was 10 times easier. And I say 10 times easier, not just trying to exaggerate. It was 10 times easier. Reason being, I continued living in a health promoting lifestyle with the same tactics and strategies, my dietary changes, exercising, and my body continued to cleanse itself after the fast. And when I did that next fast, my body didn't have that much cleaning up to do, because I've been cleaning up during this whole period. So now the detox symptoms wasn't as heavy. My energy level wasn't as low. I felt better during this process. And when I got through it, I was like, man, that was a breeze. And then the next fast after that, the following month, it was easier, and it just continue to get better and better. So understanding that your body gets better as you continue to apply these strategies, but you always want to continue to build on them. Don't allow yourself to be stagnant. You might do a 12-hour fast and feel good and see some great results. Get better, test yourself, because your body builds that resilience as you test it. Most of us don't use our body the way that we need to. We're not exercising, we're not sleeping properly, we're not giving it the fuel that it needs, and this is where these chronic issues we start to see around ourselves in our lives start to develop. So understanding that, use your body how you need to, and you will see the growth that comes behind it. So that 12-hour fast is a great way to begin. There we go. Is distilled water the best for a water-only fast, and why? That's actually a great question. So Let me dive into it. So is distilled water the best water for a water only fast? And I'm going to say yes, but I want you to also understand it in a broader context. So in many different schools of knowledge, they talk about different types of water: spring water, alkaline water, whatever. They talk about tons of different water for fasting. So understanding that there is no wrong type of water to consume while fasting. Like drinking spring water while fasting isn't going to kill you. It's not going to cause a problem. Drinking alkaline water is not going to cause a problem. So you understand that there's no wrong type of water. But let me explain why distilled water is the best type of water. Now, forget what you might know about distilled water, because I'm pretty sure someone can come in like distilled water strips minerals from the body and it does this, da da da. Forget what you heard about distilled water. Understand the fasting process first, and then you'll understand why distilled water is the best water during this process. So, when you're fasting, the goal is for you to allow the body to do what it needs to do naturally, to break down those nutritional storages, utilize those storages for energy, and to continue the healing process. The reason why distilled water is the best form of water while fasting is because it contains nothing. It contains no vitamins, no minerals, nothing. It's just the purest form of water, where spring water has vitamins and minerals or whatever type of compounds, enzymes from the spring. Alkaline water tends to have like added minerals and things like that to it. So what happens is when you consume, let's say, spring water or alkaline water while fasting, you're giving your body nutrients to use during this fasting process, which isn't a bad thing. But understanding, if you're giving your body nutrients to use, let's say that spring water has different minerals in it, you're giving the body minerals, now your body's like, oh, he's giving us some minerals through the bloodstream, let me go ahead and grab that too. Instead of focusing on breaking down what needs to be broken down to utilize what's already in it. So understand that when you consume distilled water while fasting, you're just hydrating your body and you're just moving forward, and your body's not getting any nutrients from it. So now your body has to focus on breaking down the fat deposits and utilizing its nutritional storages through this process without any added support. So consuming, spring water or other types of water during fasting, it just gives you additional minerals that can be supportive in different ways. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're looking to get the best results while fasting, distilled water is by far the purest form of water to do so. And if you look at distilled water for what it is, the next purest form of water to distilled water is the water that's naturally found inside of fruits. And reason being, it rains from the sky, the water goes into the ground, the tree pulls up the water from the ground, it goes through this whole filtering process, then ultimately the fruit grows and the water is pushed inside of the fruit and is hydrated through that process. That's a natural distillation process. And distilled water and fruit water are, when it comes to how distilled they are, fruit water is distilled water in its purest form, whereas distilled water is a pure form of water. So understanding that fasting and distilled water is going to be the best option. I'm not going to say that spring water or alkaline water is wrong. It's just when it comes down for the best results, distilled water is just the right water to use during this process. And again, it's nothing wrong with any other type of water. So I don't want you to say that, oh, I said don't use that. If you got spring water, use spring water. If you can get distilled water, get distilled water. It's going to be the best form. It's going to be the best process. Every time I fast, I use distilled water. And that's just where it is when it comes down to the information. And again, different schools of thought teach different things. But when it comes down to the science of how it works, distilled water is the pure form of water that gives your body nothing, and it allows your body to do what it needs to do at the max. Whereas spring water, alkaline water, whatever other type of water, they give your body nutrients, and your body takes those nutrients and utilizes them instead of solely focusing on breaking down its nutritional storages. So hopefully I cleared that up for you guys without just rambling on too much, but I hope I got there. Here we go. All right, so if you're taking medication while fasting, the main strategy that you want to follow is this. And again, you should always speak with your doctor as well about applying different fasting strategies. But I'm gonna give you a basic breakdown of how fasting is used in the medical study, in the medical world. And also I'm going to give you a couple reference points as well. I think I got a few of them right behind you. So in the medical world, we have to understand how fasting works and how medication works. And this is very important for you guys as well. So understanding how fasting works and medication work is important. So when you take medication, it doesn't matter if it's hydrochlorothiazide, a calcium channel blocker, whatever it is. All of them work to lower your blood pressure through whatever different mechanism that it's designed to do. The goal of medication is to bring your blood pressure down and allow for the body to function at the best level possible with a lower blood pressure. Now, understanding the goal of fasting is to correct the root cause of the blood pressure issue, which in turn bring the blood pressure down to the level that it needs to be on. And when an individual is fasting or an individual is preparing to fast, doctors do not allow them to take prescription pills. And this is particularly speaking about an extended fast, or water-only fast, a 3-day water-only fast. Doctors don't allow them to take the medication while fasting. Reason being, you're doing two things that are working in the same direction. You're taking medication to lower your blood pressure, and you're fasting, which lowers the blood pressure as well. If you do both of them at the same time, you run the risk of hypotension, which is just as bad as hypertension. If the hypertension, your blood pressure gets too low, you pass out, fall out, hit your head somewhere, and it's just as deadly as hypertension, as having a stroke. So understanding that in a medical setting, they don't allow them to take prescription pills while going through an extended fast to prevent hypotension from actually occurring. And understanding that if you're on multiple medications and you're trying to work your way off of it, beginning with intermittent fasting is going to be the best place to start, because this allows for you to better understand your body while still taking your medication. Because what happens now is, you go for an intermittent fasting strategy. You're doing a 16-8, a 16-hour fast, 8-hour eating window. During the majority of this 16 hours of fasting is going to occur while you're sleeping and resting. And once you wake up in the morning, you're probably going to have a couple more hours in your fast. So instead of just taking your medication 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning when you're in stride, getting your day going, pushing it back to 11 or 12 o'clock to coincide with your fast isn't going to cause you any complications. You're pushing your medication back a couple hours. That way, when you break your fast, you're getting food in your system at the same time, and this allows for your body to go through the fasting process, the healing and cleansing process, without the complications of having medication in your system and causing any disruption. So if you're fasting and you're taking medication, just simply choose the 16-8 fasting strategy, and once you're breaking your fast, consume your medication then, and this is going to allow for you to continue through your whole process without any type of complications and disruption. It's no issue to push your medication back 1, 2, or 3 hours throughout the day to get the results that you need. And again, if you're not too sure about what it is that you're trying to do or want to do, simply ask your doctor about this fasting strategy that you're applying. Say, hey doc, I want to try some intermittent fasting for X, Y, and Z because I'm working on correcting my blood pressure issues and getting off these pills. They're going to give you one or two answers. One, the doctor's going to say, yeah, that's great. Okay, if you're going to do some fasting and you're doing this and this is your strategy that you're following, the doctor might say, okay, well, if you're going to do this and you're doing that, let me pull back on some of the medication that you're taking. And if you're showing up, being consistent and following these strategies, this is going to allow for you to continue to progress to work your way off of it. That's one answer that you're going to get. The second answer you're going to get is your doctor doesn't believe in fasting, doesn't have any knowledge about fasting, and is going to tell you fasting doesn't work and you should continue to take your medication because it's not going to work for you. And at this case, this is where you probably should find another doctor to get a second opinion, someone that's going to be in alignment with your goals of trying to help you correct your blood pressure issues and get off the prescription pills. So you're going to get those one or two answers. A doctor that's going to be on your side, that's going to help guide you along through this process, or the doctor that's going to say, it ain't happening, Captain, I'm not for it, and you're going to take these pills the rest of your life. So understand what's important to you, making sure that your physician is in alignment with your goals, because remember, this is your body. You have to live inside of this temple, and if your goals and if their thought process doesn't align with your goals and they can't help you do what you're trying to accomplish, They don't belong on your team. You're the captain. You run the show right here. They're here to support you and to help you get better through this process. And simply shoving prescription pills down your throat isn't going to solve your blood pressure issues. Most people have been on blood pressure issues for blood pressure pills for 5 years, 10 years, some 20 plus years without correcting the problem. And the only thing that's happened is that they've been given more medication because the problem just continues to get worse. So understanding that you're in control. And when you have these tactics and strategies in alignment and you're working towards getting to the root cause of the problem, your doctor is a member of your team, and either they're on board or you're going to find somebody else that's going to be on board to help you get to where you need to be. Your doctor is a supporting member, and they should be in alignment with what you're trying to do. So when it comes down to taking medications, that's one of the main strategies that you should follow. But again, conversing with your doctor, getting the additional information that you need to make sure that your blood sugar levels are in the right position for the strategy that you're applying, making sure that your overall health is great for this tactic and strategy. These are all things that are going to be essential. But for most individuals, simply applying or beginning with that 12-hour strategy and then working their way up, the body's going to gradually get better and progress in the right direction to allow for you to extend that fast to ultimately be able to do the longer fast that's going to get the healing that you're actually looking for. So any other questions, feel free to drop them in. Matter of fact, actually, I am 11 minutes over time. So I'm going to actually wrap it up right here. And that's going to wrap up day 1 of the Healing Fast Challenge. We're going to be back here tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. The emails will go out to everyone as far as the notifications for the live session. And we're going to pick up with further details of these fasting strategies, the healing components and things that are happening while you're fasting, but most importantly, how to apply them to your lifestyle, understanding the symptoms that may occur, understanding how to navigate the different pitfalls that most people will become susceptible to. So we're going to be talking about that tomorrow at 7:30. And other than that, I see you guys then. So peace and blessings and take care.